Good morning, everybody. It is just after 9 o'clock here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We need to bring you some breaking news right now as we are hearing about a fatal explosion in Mooresville. This happened at a beverage plant around 7:30 at Carolina Beverage Group. This is just off Mazeppa Road, and we're learning that there is one confirmed fatality. You can see a number of crews are on the scene of this tanker explosion is what we're learning. Mooresville Fire Rescue confirming several organizations they're called to the business. So just about an hour and a half ago, and the Iredell County Sheriff's Office now confirming that it was a tanker that exploded at the plant. We are also learning that there were a number of people hurt as well. So we are getting a crew onto the scene that will also continue to bring us updates. But right now we can tell you that at least one person killed there and possibly one other person hurt. But again, we'll bring you an update as soon as we learn more. Deadly tanker explosion at the beverage plant in Mooresville. All right. Right now at 9:02 here on Live Impact News, we want to bring in our Tuesday morning regular guest, and that, of course, is the sheriff. Here this morning joining us for a conversation, our Tuesday morning conversation was what I'm beginning to call it here, Sheriff. And a new initiative is happening there at the sheriff's office, the sheriff's house, which you alluded to last week. So now today you can tell us a little bit more about it. What is this initiative about?
Well, the initiative is just a spinoff of what we call the Post-Release Center. And so my goal was to always give the persons who are incarcerated a better life after incarceration. So we started with the Post-Release Center in helping people transition from being incarcerated back into the community. And it's called the Reentry Program. And so when we looked at it again, we saw a gap. When people are inside the detention center being treated for their substance abuse, when they leave, it is very difficult for them to go into another program. You know, a lot of paperwork, a lot of bus passes, a lot of traveling. So we partnered with Urban League, our good friends, and we came up with this grant, and the grant produced what we call the Sheriff's House. So the Sheriff's House will house about 12 individuals who are leaving the Mecklenburg County Detention Center after going through substance abuse treatment. It is a warm handoff to the Sheriff's House where they will live for 90 to 120 days and continue to receive the treatment that they need to become better citizens.
Wow, that is great. And you already welcomed in a resident?
We welcomed a resident last week, and his words was, "I did not know that this place was going to be that nice," because we didn't take furniture from, you know, the side of the road or Goodwill or any of those places. Everything in this home and a house is new.
What does that mean to you personally to know that this is now available to the community and those who need it the most?
Well, we see these individuals struggling on the streets, you know, as we said, the block, and then we see the repeat offenders. I have a personal issue with this because I have a person, the very first person that I have ever arrested will probably be a resident of this house. And I still see him for over 40 years of law enforcement in and out of the system. And so we greet each other very well. We talk, and it was just something that came to mind that said, how can I help him better his life? And so this was a product of an idea that we had and with my staff and the Urban League. So it came up, made me feel good, feel great about it, and we hope that it is very successful, which we know it will be successful because we got a lot of impact into this thing, and we're going to make it happen. But it makes me feel great to know that we are helping people who are leaving incarceration into a place where they can continue to get that treatment.
Then how do you decide who gets to go there if they're on and off the streets for decades or that they are, you know, kind of hardcore criminals?
Well, they're inside our detention center going through a program. So they're in the program inside a detention center as we speak. And so then after they are going, when they're going to be released, after they, you know, post their bond or serve their, you know, sentence, this short sentence, then we transition them to the house. So we have these people already in our midst. We're dealing with them daily as we speak, and so we're going to transition them from incarceration into the home. So
the role of the Urban League you just mentioned, what is the partnership like? How important is that?
Well, it's great. We have a personal relationship with the Urban League. I do, and it is ongoing. It is great. When the director, Robin, calls me and say, "Hey, Gary, can we work this out together?" We work very well together. So I'm always going to be a big advocate of the Urban League because they are a sound partner. And people use partnership, you know, loosely sometimes. You know, we have a partnership, we got a relationship. No, that is a phone call and say, "Hey, Sheriff, let's do something about that." And so this has been great for me and the Urban League, but always going to give them the credit because they call us up and said, "Hey, you want to do something together? Let's do it." And so even though they may take a back seat to this, I won't let them because they are a great partner. And I'm just looking for the director to call me again and said, "Okay, Gary, we got that going on. Let's start something else again."
Oh, wow. Okay. So who did you hire to set this up, and what is the decision process into doing something like that?
We have what they call a housekeeper or house maid, not a maid, but a house person to take care of the house. It is very well constructed. And here's what I want to say that we probably left out. The house was redone or remodeled or upgraded by previously incarcerated individual who were paid to do this. So they had job skills before leaving the detention center and even after the leaving the detention center, and we kept up with them. And so we reached out to people who were previously incarcerated to upgrade this home. So that's one thing. But we have a staff that is going to help these individuals get through it. We have what I guess it's called a house mom or a house person to take care of the house. And take care of the individuals there. So we have hands-on. They're just not running the house or doing anything that they shouldn't be doing, but we have somebody to be with them daily at the home.
And how is this program funded, and how sustainable is it?
Well, it's through a grant. It's through a grant, and so it's not any money off the taxpayers here in
go.
Mecklenburg County. We want to make sure.
People want to know that.
I know somebody wants to know that, or they want to, tweet that out. The sheriff spending our money again. Mm-hmm. No, it came through a grant. And we're happy to say we're going to apply for this each and every time to make sure that we have this home so we can give people a better life going back to the community.
What does success look like then for the sheriff's house?
When an individual from that house thanks me and I see him or her living a productive life and they said, thank you. That is success for me. And we know that is going to be success because they wanted this. They're coming from one program inside a detention center to this program, so they want success. It's just hard to be successful when you have so many barriers. Bus passes, transportation, a phone, application, all of that is a barrier for people coming out of incarceration. So we're going to remove all of those barriers so we give them a better start than they had before.
And again, how can a family get their person involved and someone included that needs to go or would like to go through this program?
Well, if they are incarcerated inside the Mecklenburg County Detention Center now, I would encourage that family member to encourage that loved one inside the detention center to become involved in our programs. We have many programs, but the substance abuse program is what they need to be involved in.
All right. Moving on, it's been the first week under the belt of your new Deputy Chief, Ricky Robbins. How's that going?
It is. I'm going to laugh every time because it's going great. Me and Chief Robinson talked yesterday afternoon going home. We spent a little bit of time. Yesterday, he kind of rescued me from a meeting and came in and put his foot down and said what he needed to say and did what he needed to do. And so I was leaving late, going home, and then I saw him crossing the street. And so we called each other and had a great conversation moving forward. But it is probably one of the best decisions I've made at the sheriff's office. And it is a great decision because we have a great friendship and we have a great trust level. And so it is going well. So you'll probably see me laugh about every time you said Chief Robinson because we're working well together. It's just, I don't think either one of us is going to slow the other down. It's just that he's going to do what he needed to do and tell me, and I'm going to do what I need to do and tell him.
You need that real talk, right?
We have the real talk. We have the real talk. I'm laughing because sometimes when people come in, people believe that they're going to be laid back and they're going to wait to do things. I can tell you Chief Robbins is not going to do that. He's sound law enforcement. I can tell you will see a greater presence during the 4th of July. You will see a greater presence during Police Memorial Week. So you're going to see a greater presence of the Sheriff's Office in the community with the leadership of Chief Robbins.
And I think that is what a lot of people in the community are wanting to hear, that we'll see your presence.
It is a great thing. We do well, but having that extra person to help you, truly help you, is great. And so I can't do it all by myself, and that's why we have a chief deputy. But I don't have to worry about Chief Robbins one bit. He did some things the other day, and my staff said, well, the chief has already taken care of that. And I'm like, all right. And so it's great. So we're going to have a great time together. It's going to be a great time in this city, great time in this county. CMPD have their two friends across the street now, and we still love them across the street. So it's going to be a great time together in the city.
All right. Again, off to what sounds like an encouraging start with that new partnership, and certainly with the Sheriff's House. We hope to hear more good news that the community needs and wants out there, Sheriff.
We're here for them, and you will see us in the community together, working together. And sometimes you'll see us on different spectrums. And so he has his world, I have my world, but that is the same world on our universe together.
All right, divide and conquer.
That is it.
Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden joining us for our Tuesday morning conversation, and that invitation to you and Chief Robin, now an open invitation. So I hope to see you both here soon.
Thank you.
All right, we need to get to some breaking news right now because we have that explosion in Mooresville. We want to go to our Richard Devane, who is on the scene. Richard, what are you seeing? What can you tell us at this time?
Yeah, we've got a much closer perspective, Jane. I'm going to step out of the way, let you see what is pretty much a very active scene here. As you said, confirmed one fatality. That's the person who was driving that tanker truck right here to Carolina Brewing Company. They do a number of beverages here. This scene still very active. They have moved back, moved closer to the facilities, letting traffic go through. The hazmat issue is no longer as significant, or else they wouldn't let us this close. But as you can see, still a number of emergency vehicles here. Some employees told to check in with their HR department to see if they can get back into the building. Other people are walking around on the perimeters just trying to figure out what happened. So what we know, about 7:30 this morning, a tanker pulling into here, regular tanker, I believe, carrying nitrogen or some explosive thing, for some reason exploded. That caused this scene that you're looking at right now. We can confirm one person dead, other people possibly injured. Now, I did speak to someone who was in touch with the HR department here, our supervisors here, and they were telling them that no serious injuries to employees. We don't know if that has changed, but we can tell you that there have possibly been employees also injured. We do know the one person dead, presumed, and I don't know if Ruben can see from his perspective, but you still see men in their, I'm looking and seeing men in their hazmat uniforms walking across down to where that tanker is. Now, it's out of our view. It's around the corner here at Barley Place, which is where Carolina Beverage Company is. That's what they call it, Barley Park. Basically, it's around that corner, and so we can't see the actual explosion or the actual exploded tanker, but we can tell you that folks who were within 300 yards of this place, 3-4 football fields away, Aspire Sports, Penske Motorsports, they felt it. They felt the explosion. They said it felt like, so one person said it felt like someone was driving through their wall. And when they, of course, heard this, they knew that there could be some significant damage. They then said they saw all of the fire trucks and things like that go. Now, to say that folks who work in motorsports corporations, businesses, heard that explosion, and that even gave them pause. They're used to working around loud noises and things like that. So when they're alarmed, you can just imagine how loud that was. Now, you're looking at what's happened here. We can tell you the sheriff's department was called, but was not asked to come out here. But we can tell you that we do see Mooresville Police Department. We know the Statesville Fire Department is also here. A number of other agencies here working. Now the process, of course, is the investigation into what caused that tanker to explode and what kind of damage or what might have happened to cause it to explode. Now, what we're doing, we're still here waiting to hear exactly the status of everybody involved, including the victim who unfortunately lost their life in this explosion this morning. Other people injured. I'm seeing more firefighters and walk down across that hill down to where that tanker is. This is just as they've gotten the tanker out, the explosion is contained, and I can tell you that the hazardous situation is no longer as significant. Now, this truck is going to come in front of us. I don't know if this was somebody, because he was trying to apparently go in there. A lot of people have been displaced as far as delivery companies earlier throughout the day trying to make their deliveries and finding out that this situation had happened, trying to find out where they can go, how they can get into the building. Some of them finding out it's closed, but at least one thing we can tell you, this road is now open. That's, as you say, Mazapapa Road, I believe is how you pronounce it, or Mazapapa Road is now open to through traffic. The hazmat situation seems to be contained. We were told don't go any closer to past where the police have been set up, but the hazmat situation seems to be under control. We can tell you that we have been talking to a number of people in nearby businesses. They've told us what they heard, what they saw. Of course, you're getting a very close look at this situation. We're going to continue to investigate, see what we can find out, and we'll give you more information in just a little bit, Jane. But that's the situation. We're in Mooresville, and we're going to send it back to you.
Oh, Richard, so scary. Thank you for that live update and the live pictures right now that are happening there in Mooresville. We'll check in with you a little bit later, and certainly we know we're going to see you later on the midday, WCNC Charlotte at 11:30. Thanks, Richard. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:20 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Most of us have been on a road trip or two. The hassle of paying a toll, but now scammers are using that familiarity against you. From the Better Business Bureau in Western North Carolina is Juliana O'Rourke joining us this morning about this toll scam that we're hearing about, certainly with spring break this week and folks coming back home or traveling out and about towards the summer. And that's going to be a situation. So what is happening here with this toll scam?
Yeah, so it's something we've seen in the past and it just seems to be coming back around. Obviously, like you mentioned, spring break time, summer break, people are traveling. And so what ends up happening is you essentially get a text message. It comes mostly in text message form, but you could also get an email that just says, hey, you owe X amount from driving on this particular toll road. And a lot of times it's coming from states and places you actually haven't been or roads you have not been on. And so that makes it pretty easy to tell right away, that's not legitimate. But if you get one from a place you have been on a toll road and you aren't maybe sure, double check with the actual agency that sends that information out, the DMV for that particular state, what have you, because a lot of times these text messages are fake and they want you to pay, immediately. Otherwise, you're going to have this $50 late charge or what it might be, but it's fake. And so what they're essentially trying to do is send you a link, click on that link, put in your information, put in your payment information, and then all of a sudden, that's how they can create identity theft.
Yeah, so the obvious ones that, like you just said, you're not on that toll road, but I mean, the urgency tactic works so well. Why is that?
Yeah, so the scammers know that urgency and high pressure makes people uncomfortable, makes them nervous. People don't want to get in trouble for things that are simple. Let me pay this toll. And so that urgency makes people very nervous. So we always tell people, no matter what it is, just take a breath, take a minute. normal agencies, normal companies, they don't send things like this. And they certainly don't give you a deadline of you have to pay immediately or within 1 hour, or, we're going to give you this huge fine, or we're going to shut off your electric or power, or what have you, because they use it in all these different scams across the board. And so you just want to be careful if you get a text message like that. I think we're all used to getting unsolicited text messages. You're used to getting these random messages from random phone numbers that say all different types of things, whether it's toll roads, delivery scams, you name it, you're getting all these different solicitations. And so you kind of just want to group that in the same arena. And oftentimes too, these places don't text you. That's not their preferred method of communication. So they're not just going to text you out of the blue, especially if you haven't already received something in the mail.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Any word or reports of if that's happening, like in the Carolinas?
Yeah, so we do see it here happen, around here. We do get it locally. I haven't checked recently to see, hey, in the last couple of weeks, but we do. Yes, it happens here. So I know that it touches closer to home for a lot of people when you think that, oh, it doesn't happen around this area. Oh, it's not happening to my friends. But I actually get those text messages, I feel like once a week at this point. Between that and the delivery scams, I'm like, oh gosh, you guys keep Verizon in business.
Yeah. They look so legitimate.
They do. And they're, they get better and better at making them look legitimate. And so anytime you get a text message that you didn't ask for and it has a link especially in it, don't click on it. If you're not sure, like I said, double check with the agencies that actually send that kind of information out. If you're concerned, hey, maybe I do owe something, double check.
And if you already clicked on it, realize that you were scammed, what do you do?
Yeah, you want to definitely report that to us at BBB via BBB Scam Tracker. You could also double check and reach out to your financial institutions, making sure nobody got access to any of your information. You can put a freeze on your credit. Those are all steps just to take extra caution that nobody's taking advantage of you or your money.
All right, so just go ahead and check with the actual agency directly.
Yes.
All right, the other scam is the sponsored ads. Tell us what this is about.
Yeah, so we all shop online, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're shopping online, you get served sponsored ads kind of all over the place. It also happens too if, hey, you've been searching online, you've been looking for this great pair of shoes, you haven't decided to buy them yet, now all of a sudden you're on all these different websites and you get these sponsored ads with that same pair of shoes. It's called retargeting. But oftentimes, these sponsored ads are real, but there's times where they're not real and they're purchased by scammers and they serve you these ads that look really legitimate as well. And they want you to click on them because they're a better deal, if you will, than maybe what you saw on a different website. And unfortunately, you click on the ad, you go to the website looks legit because they're really good at making lookalike websites look real. And then you go to make the purchase, you put in all your information, and then either you never get the product or you might get confirmation emails, but all of this stuff is fake. Everything looks kind of a little bit vague. When you get to a website, if you do click on any of the links, you want to check to make sure it's secure. So it's HTTPS with the little lock symbol. You want to check to see if there's spelling errors, are there grammatical errors. You can even do reverse Google image searches to see where else are these images appearing that this same website has. So you want to do a little extra research anytime you're shopping online, regardless if you're clicking on a sponsored ad or just an ad that you see randomly on a social media platform. You just want to be really careful.
So, and really the bottom line here is you got to be proactive.
Yes. And if something is too good to be true from a pricing standpoint, we all know how that goes. You want a nice pair of shoes and they're $100 on several different websites. All of a sudden you see an ad, you can get them for $30. Oh, yeah. That's just too good to be true. We know this.
Oh, I wish. All right. So the sponsored ads, though, what is the purpose of having a sponsored ad?
Yeah. So sponsored ads, a lot of companies purchase those because then they show up a little bit higher in search results. And so they appear more often. They sort of pay for the placements, if you will. And so that's why I said a lot of times they're legitimate.
They are legit.
They are legit. Yeah. Companies do this, right? But there's often times where they're not legit too, and they're scammers because scammers know how this stuff works and they spend a lot of time trying to take advantage of us and take our money. And so you just want to be so careful. Oftentimes if you see something in a sponsored ad, you should also be able to go out to that company's website and find that same deal, information, what have you. And if you can't seem to find it, call the company and be like, hey, I saw this ad, I'm not comfortable clicking on it on social media. Are you running some kind of campaign? Do you have some deal going on or some offer? I just am not comfortable clicking on that. And
right.
I would think the company would say, hey, no problem. We can talk to you. We can let you know, what
if you get a real person.
Yeah. If you get a real person. But just be careful. Yeah.
You know, and it is one of those things. When I see the sponsored ad from what seems to be a legitimate company, I skip it and
Yeah.
I go to just below it, and that's also the legitimate company.
Yeah.
And I'll click on the non-sponsored ad version of that company.
Because that's usually their legitimate website. And also, when you work behind the scenes and you work with a lot of this stuff, I also know, if I click on that, they're going to get charged for me clicking, whereas I could just scroll a little bit more and then there's their website. Now, if you go to the website and you can't find the specific ad, then that's when you should reach out to them and say, hey, I saw this, didn't want to click on it, but, is it legit or not? And they'd be able to tell you.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Good to know. All right, Juliana O'Rourke from the Better Business Bureau. Appreciate your time this morning coming in. Toll scams, sponsored ad scams.
Yeah.
We'll have more scams down the road. I'm sure we'll cover those as well. All right, Juliana, thanks.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. It's 9:30 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. President Trump has a deadline tonight of 8 o'clock saying, quote, a whole civilization will die tonight unless Iran agrees to a deal before the deadline to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Alice Barr from NBC News has the latest here. We'll play this for you here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
This morning, fresh explosions in Tehran as President Trump ramps up the pressure for Iran to make a deal to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz by tonight or face widespread destruction.
After that, they're going to have no bridges, they're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah.
Israel now warning the Iranian people to avoid using trains. President Trump saying Iran is negotiating, though communication is difficult, and that their latest offer was significant but not good enough. Iran has been demanding a permanent end to the war, publicly rejecting calls for a temporary ceasefire. Now, with an 8 p.m. Eastern deadline looming, Democrats are condemning the president's threats to take out Iran's bridges and power plants, civilian infrastructure.
What the president is doing is threatening war crimes.
The president rejects that.
No, not at all. No, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it.
While also celebrating the successful rescue of 2 American airmen whose F-15 fighter jet was shot down over Iran last week by a shoulder-fired missile. The pilot was located first, while officials say the second airman, a badly injured colonel and weapons systems officer, hid in a mountain crevice, evading capture for nearly 48 hours.
He scaled cliff faces, bleeding rather profusely, treated his own wounds, and contacted American forces to transmit his location.
The president saying the daring rescue took hundreds of troops, some throwing the Iranians off the trail, and that all American service members made it back to safety.
If we cast a movie, he's going to play
In
that.
Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
John Ratcliffe,
At 9:32, we'll be right back in just a couple of minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:34 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, we started off with some breaking news this morning, which unfortunately kind of preempted our majestic storm with a check of your weather. But we do know we're going to have some nice days, and our Chris Mulcahy filed this report earlier on WCNC Charlotte. We'll play this for you here on Live Impact News.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. As always, check this out. So Brittany actually got this photo last night, and I have to share it with you, sent in by Steve Tate. Lake Wiley sunset, and this is what happens when you have the perfect combination of upper level to mid-level clouds. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. You actually want more clouds than a clear sky to really get the most breathtaking sunsets, and that's exactly what we had. Meanwhile, at this hour, it doesn't look all that great, but we do have a beautiful moon. It does show that that cloud cover is thin enough that's going to allow a little bit more sunshine to reach us. You might have probably saw the sun on and off yesterday, blocked by the clouds. Moon set officially is at 10. Almost have a blocking mechanism for the atmosphere, but then also just the amount of dry air that's here as well, almost turning into a desert. So we have literally zero, zip, zilch, nada, any sort of rain chance over the next 7 days, and that even extends out to the 10-day forecast as well. What's going to happen in the near term, we have a front that's actually moving through that's going to slither its way down towards the south. That's going to erode a lot of the clouds later in the day. If you're living southeast of Charlotte from Monroe down to, say, Chesterfield, you're going to have some longer lasting clouds than, say, the rest of us. I think some of us actually can end with perfect clear skies heading into the evening hours. And then by tomorrow, it will be a little bit cooler, still a strong push out of the northeast. And we're also going to see some stronger winds today compared to the last couple of days. Moderate wind gusts getting up to about 20 to even 25 miles per hour, allowing those trees to really sway in the breeze a little bit more. Because of the winds, because of the dry air, we have a high local fire danger, and that's also extended with a burn ban across North Carolina. Again, that's until further notice. Tomorrow, with the winds a little bit gustier for the foothills and the mountains, that's why we have a very high.
All right, we're going to take another break. A special guest on the other side on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:40 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, one of the largest class action settlements in the U.S. Is moving forward, and it could affect millions of Americans who have used Roundup or any other weed killer, even for those who might feel perfectly healthy. Here to explain what that means, why it matters, joining us right now on Live Impact News is Christopher A. Seeger. He's the co-lead class counsel at Seeger Weiss LLP. Good morning, Christopher. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So talk to us about this lawsuit settlement, where it came from, how much it's worth, and why does it matter?
So most people are probably aware of the product Roundup. It's a household name. There's litigation that's been going on for a decade or more. People have gone to trial. Some trials won, some lost. But finally, we've been able to achieve what we call a global settlement, where people do not have to any longer take the risk of being in court or going to a jury. They can now file a claim and be compensated for their exposure to Roundup if they've developed non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So, and everyone's included. Residential users who might have purchased Roundup at the hardware store and have it in their garage, occupational users, landscapers, agricultural workers who are exposed to very high doses. The settlement is intended to include everybody.
And this is worth billions of dollars, right?
Yeah, it's a 7.25 billion to be exact, and it will go on for 21 years. That's an important detail because, like many cancers, they take a while before they develop. So somebody could have been exposed to Roundup 2-3 years ago, and 10-15 years down the road be diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And this settlement is designed to be there for those people, as well as people who are currently in the legal system and diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Okay, so you named the occupations that could be affected here, and again, taking some time, but not everyone will would receive the same payout. What factors differentiate different payouts?
That's exactly right. So occupational users, for the reasons I stated earlier, who are exposed to very high levels of glyphosate and Roundup, would be compensated more. You know, they work with it in some parts of the country. They might be using it 6 months out of the year, in other parts of the country 12 months out of the year. So they're exposed to very high doses. Residential users are exposed to less, but still exposed to enough to cause non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And they are a little lower down on the payment scale, but they can receive significant compensation, fair compensation. And in addition to that, there is another fund that if they have injuries that are very serious and require a lot of medical attention, they could qualify for what's called an extraordinary injury fund to get additional compensation.
How about for those who have passed away already? Can their families file a claim on those who have passed away?
Yes, the settlement will handle those claims as well. And for people who have questions like that, just to be super clear, because there'll be, you know, there are lots of different claims, people alive, people who passed away as a result of this. If they go to our website at weedkillerclass.com, they can figure out where they belong in the matrix based upon their age, their exposure to Roundup, and the type of diagnosis they have, whether it's an aggressive form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma requiring a lot of medical intervention, or what we've called in the settlement indolent but less aggressive form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which requires less medical intervention.
And is there a deadline?
No, I mean, for class members who want to be in the settlement, they don't have to do anything. If people want to opt out of the settlement, take themselves out of it, they can do that, and there is a deadline for that, which is coming up in mid-June. Again, it's on the website, weedkillerclass.com, to find that exact date, but there's something very important about that that's worth mentioning. Right now, there is a legal issue before the Supreme Court of the United States. If somebody takes themselves out of the settlement, they opt out, and the plaintiffs lose that case before the Supreme Court, their case in court is going to be nearly impossible to bring. There still could be aspects that survive, but it's going to be very difficult. If they do nothing and they stay in the settlement, no matter what happens with that case, they will be covered by this settlement. They can still file a claim and be compensated. This settlement will not be affected by that case before the Supreme Court.
All right. And again, this is for everybody across the country, although it was a Missouri federal court that made this decision.
That is 100% correct. It's a nationwide settlement. It's in a Missouri state court, but it is It's available to anyone across the country who has been exposed to and then diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma because of Roundup.
All right. Very good. Anything else that we should know, Christopher?
Just the most important thing for your listeners would be, please know the website, weedkillerclass.com. There's a number to call. They'll get it on the website. I can give it now very quickly. It's 888-403-8201. And all their questions could be answered there, or they could speak to a live person.
All right, very good. Christopher A. Siegler, thank you for the information and conversation on the Roundup nationwide settlement that's happening right now.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:47 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, bringing you breaking news, live images right now in Ontario. This is Ontario, California, where one person has just been arrested. This is a paper products warehouse fire and arrested on charges of arson happening right now in Ontario. So that's the county over from LA, from Los Angeles County, that is east of LA. The fire reported heavy through the roof of this major complex, and as you can see, it is still burning crazy with flames and smoke up there in the sky in what looks to be an industrial area anyway. But no immediate reports of any injuries, and we are just standing by for details about the person arrested. Not made available immediately, but we are monitoring that situation right now on Live Impact News, and we'll bring you the latest here right now. But you can see that plume of smoke, wow, right into the sky, and it just looks like a whole dark cloud, a storm cloud there over the Southern California, Ontario area. So this massive fire, one person we are able to confirm arrested now on charges of arson at this fire and this warehouse. So an update on that coming up. It is a warehouse for paper products, apparently. All right. More on that soon. Right now at 9:49, we are just going to go ahead and switch gears and bring it back to the Carolinas here in Charlotte, in our neighborhood, our backyard. Charlotte Motor Speedway, you know it is the heart of American motorsports, but this spring, expanding its legacy in a whole new direction. It's really cool. It's the Heritage Invitational. It's back for its third year, and it brings together collectors. You got the racers, you've got legends in all these gorgeous cars, and it's happening in the all-new 1010 10th Motor Club. That's hard to say, Jonathan. 10/10 Motor Club. Jonathan Coleman of Charlotte Motor Speedway joining us here in the Live Impact studio. How you doing?
Doing great. 10/10 is a tongue twister for sure.
Tongue twister even. Oh my goodness. All right, so for folks who have not heard about this Heritage Invitational before, how do you describe it?
Yeah, so 10/10 is actually racing parlance. It means you're going all out. You're not giving 8/10, you're not giving 9/10. You're pedal to the metal, so to speak. So the Heritage Invitational is really that for the luxury automotive car show. If you think about places like Pebble Beach or Amelia Island, they have these really high-end Concours caliber shows that are the absolute best cars from all around the world, and that's what we wanted to create kind of in the mid-Atlantic. There's no other show like this anywhere around. So we've got about 115 cars that are going to be out on Saturday that are just the absolute cream of the crop. Over $500 million in valued vehicles that'll be out there that folks can take in and celebrate the history and the artistry, the innovation behind the automobile, but really also the community behind it. And that's what we're trying to grow is, finding those names that have helped make car culture, such a part of our lives, and to be able to celebrate them. So we're going to have, obviously with our motorsports roots, a lot of motorsports, folks that are going to be out joining us throughout the weekend. But if you know the classic car community, you know guys like Wayne Carini, who was a longtime car restorer and had a TV show about restoring his cars, and you know Ed Bolian, who is a Lamborghini aficionado who actually did a Cannonball Run race, which is a legally dubious, questionable race across the country, how fast you can get from one side to the other. So being able to bring all of those people together and celebrate car culture is really what the Heritage Invitational is about.
It is gorgeous. And for the third year, how has this event evolved?
Yeah, so we actually started across the street. We also have Auto Fair, which is a little bit more of a blue-collar car show that we do inside the oval track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And it was, the first year I think we had 20 cars, but we saw the potential for something bigger. So we have grown by leaps and bounds, and we're going to have almost 120 cars out at this year's show, just to see the interest, to see the community, and to be able to find, as you put on great events and that word of mouth gets out there, we now have car owners that are coming to us going, I want to show my car, instead of having to go out and find them. So it's been a great opportunity for growth. Obviously, opening a new facility last year and being able to host the Heritage at the 10/10 Motor Club, kind of makes it its own event, so to speak. So really being able to grow it and have a bigger footprint, to be able to do a little bit more upscale hospitality, to have some panel discussions and autograph sessions and host podcasts and things like that. It's been able to help us grow and really create what we think is going to be a lasting and impactful car show.
Yeah, well, talk about the facility then, 10/10, for those who haven't gone there. What was the vision in building this?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it is very much a country club racetrack,
yes,
if you want to think of it in that terms. It's a 1.7 mile circuit, so it's not the oval tracks that folks are used to when you think about Charlotte Motor Speedway. But the idea is that you almost feel like you're transported somewhere new and completely different. You're kind of rolling through the undulation and the hills, there on the property. But we've also got a 20,000 square foot clubhouse, so that opens up the opportunity to be able to host higher end hospitality offerings. The patio actually looks right out over top of the racetrack, so we've got these big garage doors that open up, and you have kind of this open air patio that you can take in the sights and the sounds of the shows and just really have an elevated experience.
And talk to us about the Celebrity Pro-Am, right? The debut was last year. You had some big names there.
Absolutely,
what can people
This
expect?
Guy named Jeff Gordon's pretty good at driving.
Yeah, I heard of him.
Pretty good driving race cars. So we, in an effort to give back to the community, we're always looking for ways to be able to support. Speedway Children's Charities is the Speedway's philanthropic arm. So we raise money throughout the year to give back and pump back into nonprofits across the Charlotte area. And through this Pro-Am, basically, amateur drivers have the opportunity to buy a ticket to pair up with a professional driver, and then it becomes kind of a time trial. So as an amateur, I get one lap, and then the driver that I pair up with gets one lap, and we put our combined times together, and if we're fast enough, we advance to the next round and advance to the next round. Jeff Gordon, who is the big part of Hendrick Motorsports, multi-time champion NASCAR Cup Series driver, came in and won it last year. He wanted to go out on a winning streak, so he is retired from the Pro-Am this year, but we have got some phenomenal drivers. Three-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Joey Logano is going to be in it. Mark Martin, Kurt Busch, lots of big names that are going to be vying for the chance to be our second annual Celebrity Pro-Am driver. And most importantly, again, a great opportunity to give back. We actually raised over $200,000 last year to put back into community nonprofits that support children in need right here across the greater Charlotte area.
That's so fantastic. So many icons in one place. How do you curate a guest list like this?
It helps to have a lot of really good connections.
Yeah.
So I think Ray Evernham, who was actually Jeff Gordon's crew chief kind of in his heyday, is the executive director of the Heritage Invitational. So with his contacts in motorsports, but also in the automotive, restoration and collector world, he makes a few phone calls to his friends, and again, over a couple of years after doing this, kind of word of mouth, folks want to come out and be part of the event. So it's a good problem to have. Certainly a great guest list, and if you're a racing fan, come spend some time with us this weekend. You're liable to get an autograph or a picture with a pretty big name driver and a legend within the community.
All right, so how can you come out? What's going to be the atmosphere?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is going to be to check heritageinvitational.com. You can get the schedule for the weekend. You can get all the different ticket options depending on if you're just wanting to roll and kind of roam around the grounds and see the cars, or if you want kind of that full, high-end experience in the clubhouse with the food and drink and everything else. You can get all the schedules of when things are happening and who's going to be where with the autograph sessions. But checking out heritageinvitational.com, is going to be the best way to secure those tickets.
That sounds so fun. And you don't have to own a vintage sports car, Carlene, to go out there.
No.
We don't have one.
We don't.
We don't, but I'd like to see them. I'd like to imagine if I had one.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Well,
that's what it's about.
It's
too.
a great place to dream, that's for sure. It's a great place to dream about one day.
Great event.
One day.
All right, Jonathan, thank you for coming in, letting us know about it, and a great event and just a good benefit for all.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate that. And with that, we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Good morning, everybody. 10 o'clock straight up here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal, where we do cover local, national, international headlines. Right now, we are just learning that a press conference has wrapped up with the Mooresville fire chief around an earlier explosion at a beverage facility happening in Mooresville. Our Richard Devane is on that scene, and we will get things here up and running for you here on Live Impact News in just a couple of minutes. When that happens, we'll show that to you. In the meantime, we're also covering an earlier fire in California, Southern California, and actually that picture went down as well in Ontario, where an alleged arsonist has been arrested. Here it is. Here are the pictures right now with live images happening. The warehouse, a paper products warehouse that is still raging, but fire crews were able to respond to this scene around 1:45 local time in the middle of the morning, and firefighters reported heavy fire through the roof of this industrial complex. We can tell you they have arrested one person at least on arson charges. We don't know if anyone was hurt. There were no immediate reports of any injuries, but there were a dozen, maybe 24 employees in the warehouse when that fire started. And if we get the wider aerial shot here, you can see that this is a massive warehouse. There it is. And fire trucks surrounding it on all sides from above. So with the fire going through the roof, obviously they cannot approach it on foot from the top of the building. They just have to kind of surround and drown it and get it under control before they can enter it from any side of the building, including from right on top. But that smoke with that medium to dark gray, and in some parts of the building it's dark black, that shows us the intensity of the fire. So still a very active fire burning in Ontario, in Southern California. Just east of LA County is Ontario, and that is what we're looking at right now. Right now we want to get back to our Mooresville fire and explosion that happened. We've rolled back this press conference that just wrapped up minutes ago, but here it is now in its entirety for you on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Okay. About 7:16 this morning, Mooresville Fire received a call referencing an explosion. Crews responded. We responded with a full alarm assignment. Upon arrival, we were actually able to locate a tanker truck that had obvious explosion damage to it. Crews ascertained a chemical identification rapidly, then made entry. We were able to locate one victim, extricate that victim, decon that victim, and Iredell County EMS took that victim to Charlotte Atrium, Maine. Condition I'm not sure of at this current time. Chemical identified as sodium hydroxide, which is a caustic. That was the chemical in question during the explosion. Located one victim also. This victim was deceased in the area of the blast. Crews located that victim, determined that they had deceased and passed on. We moved on to looking at additional leaks, trying to contain the area. We were able to get the hazmat crews in, located a secondary leak on a stationary nitrogen tank. That leak was contained by our Mooresville Hazmat and Statesville Hazmat crews. And then at this current time, Mooresville Police Department and Mooresville Fire Marshal's Office are working the investigation to look into the cause of this incident and come up with a summary of that. We're now working with plant leadership to handle the cleanup, necessary cleanup material that needs to be handled to render their site safe again. There is no immediate hazard to the community. Everything is safe off the property here, so we're in that phase right now, working with the cleanup company and conducting an investigation. We would like to offer our thoughts and our condolences to the victim's family on this tragic event that has occurred here today. I'll take a few questions. I don't have much more than that information right there, but I can take a few questions.
So just to be clear, no hazardous chemicals. This is not like an airborne threat to the community. People are outside breathing. they're fine?
Yeah, everything is fine in this immediate area here. It is contained to the site that we're working on, and again, working with plant management as well as an outside third-party cleanup company to render their site safe again.
Is this the first time you've had to respond to a call of this nature here at the park, to your knowledge?
Of this magnitude, yes. We have not had any kind of calls of this nature, an explosive nature at any site in Mooresville that I'm aware of.
And just to clarify, the injured patient was in the tanker or in the truck, and then the deceased individual was not.
The deceased individual was the tanker operator. The injured patient was a plant worker that was on site in the proximity of the blast.
Did the blast occur inside the building or outside the building?
Everything's exterior to the building.
Okay.
And it's on the back path, I presume?
It's on the back side of the building. It's their normal loading and offloading areas for their products.
Is there like what would this chemical, not the nitrogen, but the other one, what is that normally used for? You know, people that don't know what that liquid material is, what is it? What is it used for?
I'm gonna let my hazmat captain go into a little more detail with you there.
So sodium hydroxide is used for a cleaning agent. It's a caustic solution that you could use for cleaning of vessels or any sort of maintenance in the facility.
Okay, so it's not something that like goes in a beverage, it's a cleaning solution.
That's correct.
Anybody else? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we'll send out a more official press release once we get some more information on the investigation.
That works for us. Thank you, sir. I got the one in your pocket. There.
All right, as you heard, the Mooresville Fire Chief talking about that deadly tanker explosion at the Bev Company in Mooresville. Our Richard Devane is our reporter on the ground. He'll be having an update, a live picture and report coming up on WCNC Charlotte starting at 11:30. We're going to take a quick break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 10:09, back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. So on the national front, if you missed last night's briefing from the president, he talked about the latest happening in Iran, plans moving forward, and his deadline, which is for tonight, on opening the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to play this for you here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
It's a great honor to be with you, and happy Easter. We had a great Easter. This is one of our better Easters, I think, in a lot of different ways. I can say militarily, it's been one of the best. So, good afternoon. We have quite a bit to discuss. We'll go into pretty good detail. And we have the people that are most involved. We'll give you exactitude. And we're here today to celebrate the success of one of the largest, most complex, most harrowing combat searches. I guess you would call it a search and rescue mission ever attempted by the military. Generally, when planes are knocked down in war, especially when you're fighting a strong group, an evil group, you can't really do this because you send in 200 men to pick up one. And it's something that's usually not attempted as much as you want to attempt. And bad things happen to that one or two. And in this case, we did two, and it might not have been attempted before, but we did. And we had great talent, but we got a little luck too, I would say. And we were helped by a lot of people, a lot of great people. And it was an honor to be involved with it. It's very historic. This is a rescue that's very historic. It'll go down in the books. Late Thursday night, an American F-15 fighter jet went down deep inside enemy territory in Iran while participating in Operation Epic Fury, where we're doing unbelievably well, well at a level that nobody's ever seen before. The entire country can be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night. Both members of the crew ejected from the aircraft and landed alive on Iranian soil. I immediately was asked to make a decision. I ordered the U.S. Armed Forces to do whatever was necessary to bring our brave warriors back home. A risky decision, because we could have ended up with 100 dead as opposed to 1 or 2. It's a hard decision to make. But in the United States military, we leave no American behind. We don't do it. Within hours, our armed forces deployed 21 military aircraft into hostile airspace, many flying at very low altitude, being shot by bullets. You bring rifles into play when you're going that low, but there are also certain advantages. And in broad daylight over Iran for 7 hours, at times facing very, very heavy enemy fire. We have a helicopter that's got a lot of bullets in it. It's amazing. We just realized how good those weapons are. Our machines are. Nobody has the equipment that we have, and nobody has the military that we have. Not even close. We're the most powerful military anywhere in the world by far. The flight crews and warfighters aboard those aircraft took extraordinary risks to rescue their fellow service members. This first wave of search and rescue forces successfully located the pilot of the F-15, and he was extracted from enemy territory by an HH-60 Jolly Green II helicopter. Fabulous machine as our warriors faced gunfire at very close range. It's amazing that when you look at the machinery, what happened, that nobody was even injured. Meanwhile, the second crew member, a weapons system officer, highly respected colonel, had landed a significant distance away from the pilot. When you're going at those speeds, even if you go out 2 or 3 seconds later, it's miles and miles away because you're going fast. He was injured quite badly and stranded in an area teeming with terrorists from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps rough group, as well as besieged militia and local authorities. Many, on top of everything else, they told the communities actually within inside of Iran, the people of Iran, they were given a tremendous incentive to find this pilot. Despite the peril, the officer followed his training and climbed into the treacherous mountain terrain and started climbing toward a higher altitude, something they were trained to do in order to evade capture. They want to always go as far away from the site of the shoot down. You want to go as far away because they all head right to that site. You want to be as far away as you can. And he was injured, and he was an amazing, amazing thing. He scaled cliff faces, bleeding rather profusely, treated his own wounds, and contacted American forces to transmit his location. They have a very sophisticated beeper-type apparatus that is on them at all times. And when they go out on these missions, they make sure they have lots of battery space and they're in good shape. And this one worked really well, amazingly, saved his life. We immediately mobilized a massive operation to retrieve him from the mountain holdout, and he kept going higher and higher. The mountain kept getting rougher and rougher and really very, very hard to find. The second rescue mission involved 155 aircraft, including 4 bombers, 64 fighters, 48 refueling tankers, 13 rescue aircraft, and more. We were bringing them all over, and a lot of it was subterfuge. We wanted to have them think he was in a different location because they had a vast military force out there. Thousands of people were looking. So we wanted them to look in different areas, so we were scattered it all over like we were right on top of them. We had 7 different locations where they thought, and they were very confused. They said, well, wait a minute, they've got groups here, they've got groups there. It's an amazing thing. I was listening to these great people, these great generals. General Raisin Kane was amazing, and Pete Hegseth was amazing. But I listened to the whole thing. It was pretty amazing. So they had all these different sites where everybody thought he was located. We think we have him over there because they have 9 planes circling a little area that's 25 miles down the coast. So in a breathtaking show of skill and precision, lethality and force, America's military descended on the area, the real area, engaged the enemy, rescued the stranded officer, destroyed all threats, and exited Iranian territory while taking no casualties of any kind. The heroic F-15 weapons system officer had evaded capture on the ground in Iran for almost 48 hours. That's a long time when you're in tough shape and when you're bleeding. It's a long time. When we left, as you probably know, we had 2 large planes, pretty old planes. It carried a lot. We needed a lot more equipment going in than coming out, obviously, because going in, we needed to be able to scale mountains, and we had a lot of equipment. But the sand was sandy, wet sand, so we thought there may be a problem taking off because of the weight of the plane, and then we also had all the men jumping back onto the planes, and they got pretty well bogged down, and we had a contingency plan, which was unbelievable, where lighter, faster aircraft came in, and they took them out. We blew up the old planes, and we blew them up to smithereens because we had equipment on the planes that, frankly, we'd like to take, but I don't think it was worthwhile spending another 4 hours there taking it off. So we didn't want anybody to have, we have the best equipment anywhere in the world. We didn't want anybody examining our anti-aircraft and other equipment. So these were large planes that were old and pretty old, and we blew them up, and we had faster, lighter planes come in, and they were able to land on the sand. We needed the bigger planes because we had so much equipment that we needed. We took 3 helicopters over there, which were very strongly used and couldn't have lived without them. They did, and they performed unbelievably well. And if you'd see it, you wouldn't believe it. They came off the plane, and these guys had them, the rotors were off. They rebuilt these helicopters in less than 10 minutes. And that was one of the more amazing things. These are helicopters, small, unbelievably powerful, but small, very small, so it can get into certain areas. And they got them off the plane, and they rebuilt all three of them in a matter of less than 10 minutes. It's pretty amazing what the genius of these people. Who would think that? You'd think it would take 5 days to build them. And in some companies it would take 5 days, and they wouldn't do it well. But they served us well. As Commander-in-Chief, I never forget the extraordinary risk taken by the warriors that we send into battle, and the genius. I mean, think of it, having a contingency of 3 planes waiting because we think the sand is so bad that we probably won't be able to take off. And the planes really got bogged. The sand this was not much of a runway. This was a farm, not a runway. It's a farm, but it did the trick. But to have a contingency as opposed to having to wait 2 days, can you imagine, right in the middle? This was central. This was right, you would call it central casting if you were doing a movie for location. And probably the toughest area of Iran where we'd be sitting there. So these planes came in, those pilots came in so fast and so quick and got out of there. Everybody got aboard and just got 15-minute intervals. 1 load out, 1 load out, 1 load out. It happened, and we were watching, and we said, "That's amazing." It's in many ways, I was almost more impressed by the contingency that we had than the fact that if we would have had a runway or decent soil. But it was an amazing thing. But we thank God for every single one of them and the talent. The genius is not even talent, it's genius. It's the whole ball game, every one of them. Now, if you look at what we did with Maduro, we went into a military compound, a massive, with thousands and thousands of soldiers, and within a matter of minutes, and he lived behind iron doors. There were steel doors, broke them down so quickly, and within almost minutes, he was in the back of these planes. It was a similar group. Incredible. We have incredibly talented people. And if the time comes, we move heaven and earth to bring them home safely. We're going to bring our people home safely. I want to thank every member of the U.S. Armed Forces involved in these historic operations. They really were historic. It's just not something that's done. And you'd understand it. Not that they don't want to do it, but when you're going into areas, when you look at these helicopters, when you look at the amount of bullets and everything else that they took, when you go into these areas, you don't come out like we came out. God was watching us, I tell you. Well, it was the Easter, we were in Easter territory, I guess, but God was watching us. Amazing. Because when you look at the machinery, they took damage. It tells you, first thing I said is, these are unbelievable machines, how they flew back and not even much of a problem. But these 2 extraordinary rescues, because it was 2, and as you probably know, we didn't talk about the first one for an hour. Then somebody leaked something, which we'll hopefully find that leaker. We're looking very hard to find that leaker. And talked about there's somebody missing. They basically said that we have one and there's somebody missing. Well, they didn't know there was somebody missing until this leaker gave the information. So whoever it was, we think we'll be able to find it out because we're going to go to the media company that released it, and we're going to say, national security, give it up or go to jail. And we know who, and you know who we're talking about, because some things you can't do. Because when they did that, all of a sudden, the entire country of Iran knew that there was a pilot that was somewhere on their land that was fighting for his life. And it also made it much more difficult for the pilots and for the people going in to search for him. All of a sudden, they know that there's somebody out there. They see all these planes coming in. It became a much more difficult operation because a leaker leaked that we have one, we've rescued one, but there's another one out there that we're trying to get. So actually, the country, Iran, put out a major notice, you all saw it, offering a very big award for anybody that captures the pilot. So in addition to a hostile, very talented, very good, very evil military, we had millions of people trying to get an award. So when you add that to it, but we have to find that leaker because that's a sick person. Probably didn't realize the extent of how bad it was. I can't imagine that the person did, but we're going to find out. It's national security, and the person that did the story will go to jail if he doesn't say, and that doesn't last long, and I think everybody would understand it. They put this mission at great risk. They put that man at great risk, and they put the hundreds of people that went in looking for him, because everyone now knows that we're going in. Over the past 37 days, America's armed forces have carried out more than 10,000 combat flights over Iran, unheard of, striking more than 13,000 targets. The F-15 we lost last week was the first manned aircraft downed by the enemy in this entire operation, with thousands and thousands of flights. They got lucky. It was a lucky hit. You know, eventually you get lucky. But we got lucky too because we got both of them back. But it's a record that is unparalleled in the history of military air operations. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's such an honor to be involved with it. We were up late at night, and then we were waiting for those contingent planes to come in, and we say, come on, let's go, get in, because they're waiting out on this farm without a runway, with wet, crummy soil, sand, mostly sand, wet sand, and it eats planes alive, and we're waiting, and we're saying, I hope that one can land and take off. And they came in like magic, boom, 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 one after another. It was like genius. I'm so impressed by that. Because we were a little concerned. We said, boy, if they don't get in and get up fast, we're sitting in them. And that's called Iran Prime, right, General? That's where the whole bet is. And here we are sitting there waiting for a plane, but they came in so fast and so hard, and these guys knew exactly what to do. Let's go, come on, get in, let's go, Pwah. They came one right after another, not at the same time. They don't want to come at the same time. They had to come right after each other. They didn't have any room. There was barely any room to land. Tiny little patch of very wet earth and sand. So I'm so proud of the people that I have standing up here with me, and many others that worked. I mean, so many. Steve Witkoff's over here. He's doing fantastically. Jared Kushner. But the people that are here, the job they did is amazing. And I think I'm going to introduce the head of the CIA, and he is a man he's central casting, okay? If we cast a movie, he's going to play the head of the CIA. He's one of the few. John Ratcliffe, he did a phenomenal job that night. He did something that, I don't know if you want to talk about it. If you want, you can. I'm not sure he's supposed to. I'm not going to talk about it. But the CIA was very responsible for finding this little speck. It's like they used an expression on one of the shows. The general was talking about, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, finding this pilot. And the CIA was unbelievable. And you may, if you can, you'll talk. It might be classified, in which case I'd have to put him in jail if he talks about it. And I don't want to put him in jail. He doesn't deserve that. So, John, do you want to say a few words? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a privilege to be here with you today to share what we can about this exceptional mission and to recognize the ingenuity and bravery of those who executed it, as well as the leadership and resolve of the president who ordered it. One thing that has been clear to me in this role is that the flawless military operations that the Department of War is known for are hostage to flawless intelligence. We saw that in the skies over Iran in Operation Midnight Hammer last summer. We witnessed it in Venezuela during Operation Absolute Resolve. We've seen it against the cartels in the Western Hemisphere, and we're seeing it every day in Operation Epic Fury, including this mission to rescue an aviator buried deep behind enemy lines. Because it is the unique tradition of the U.S. Armed Forces that we leave no man or woman behind, this was a no-fail mission. That was the spirit in which the President put us to work, and we were determined not to let him down or our airmen down. As an agency, the CIA possesses unique capabilities that only the President can deploy. Some of these capabilities fall under covert action authorities. And because covert means exactly that, I'm not going to be able to tell you everything that you want to know. At the President's direction, we deployed both human assets and exquisite technologies that no other intelligence service in the world possesses to a daunting challenge, comparable to hunting for a single grain of sand in the middle of a desert. This was also a race against the clock, as it was critical that we locate the downed aviator as quickly as possible, while at the same time keeping our enemies misdirected. For that reason, in addition to the human and technical assets deployed by the President to find our airmen, CIA executed a deception campaign to confuse the Iranians who were desperately hunting for our airmen. On Saturday morning, we achieved our primary objective by finding and providing confirmation that one of America's best and bravest was alive and concealed in a mountain crevice, still invisible to the enemy, but not to the CIA. That confirmation was relayed by Secretary Hegseth to the President, and the operation quickly moved to the execution phase. Following the successful exfiltration on Saturday night, our intelligence reflects that the Iranians were embarrassed and ultimately humiliated by the success of this audacious rescue mission. When the President asked me to lead the CIA, he made it clear: get back to basics, no politics, no agendas, tackle the hardest problems, and execute the toughest missions. This President is about results, and now that's what his CIA is about too. The professionals at the agency and at the Department of War deserve immense credit for their flawless execution during this daring mission. Their skill, creativity, and courage are unmatched on the battlefield wherever they step. But none of that matters, and all of that is wasted without a President with the political courage to put them into action. Mr. President, I've had the privilege of seeing you act with political courage in the best interest of the United States up close on a daily basis, and I'm grateful that this successful mission has given the American people a window into that as well. The Secretary and Chairman will tell you that our service members' confidence is boosted by a Commander-in-Chief who has their back the same way they have yours. And I know that the confidence of CIA's officers is boosted by the knowledge that their work is informing a President who's not afraid to make the hardest decisions when the stakes are highest. And to the American people, your confidence should be boosted by knowing that the security of the nation is in the hands of a President who's willing to take on problems that have confounded both sides of the political aisle for nearly half a century. It is an honor to serve under a leader who just proved that you can believe him when he says, no matter what, we will leave no one behind. We will come for you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, John, thank you for the collaboration of the CIA as well. Incredible and ongoing partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Americans, and especially the brave warriors in our armed forces, over this Easter weekend, the United States military has once again proved why we possess the greatest fighting force the world has ever known. In two extraordinary combat search and rescue operations deep inside enemy territory in Iran, our warriors executed missions of breathtaking skill, courage, and precision. When our warriors are unleashed, as this President has allowed them to be, they are unstoppable. When American airmen were down behind enemy lines, our forces and our President did not hesitate. Special operators supported by elite air crews and intelligence professionals moved swiftly and decisively into treacherous mountain terrain under the constant threat of Iranian forces closing in. Ultimately, it was an impotent Iranian threat. And today, as the CIA director mentioned, Iran's military, and we know this, is embarrassed and humiliated, and they should be. Now, these are not routine operations. They were high-risk, high-stakes missions conducted in the heart of enemy territory. This was not just barely into Iran. This was deep into Iran, involving coordinated strikes to suppress threats, deception tactics to protect our teams, and full synchronization across air, ground, and special operations. The Iranians are still asking themselves right now, how did the Americans do this? One downed airman evaded capture for more than a day, scaling rugged ridges while hunted by the enemy. When he was finally able to activate his emergency transponder, his first message was simple, and it was powerful. He sent a message, God is good. In that moment of isolation and danger, his faith and fighting spirit shone through. You see, shot down on a Friday, Good Friday, hidden in a cave, a crevice, all of Saturday, and rescued on Sunday. Flown out of Iran as the sun was rising on Easter Sunday. A pilot reborn, all home and accounted for, a nation rejoicing. God is good. Despite incoming fire and unforgiving conditions, our troops brought every American home. No American lives were lost. We leave no man behind, and that is not luck. It's the result of unmatched training, superior technology, an unbreakable warrior ethos, and sheer American grit. Our special operators, pilots, and support crews performed with near perfection under fire, and they were lethal. Just ask any Iranian soldier who dared attempt to get anywhere near that pilot before or during that mission. Death from above. Our troops turned a potential tragedy into a resounding demonstration of American resolve and capability. That's what excellence in uniform looks like. But make no mistake about it, none of this would have been possible without the courageous leadership and ironclad determination of President Donald J. Trump. From the moment our airmen went down, President Trump made it clear we will leave no one behind. The first mission, the first of two, was an audacious daylight thunder run right up the middle. It was authorized in less than 2 hours from that pilot going down when we knew where he was. And it was authorized in the middle of the night, because anybody that's worked for this man knows he's up in the middle of the night. Authorized immediately, without hesitation, audaciously. The second mission, as soon as we knew where that pilot was, and John was certainly helpful in that, also executed immediately. You know, I looked up at my screen when the final mission was complete inside our SCIF, our secure facility. And we have a running VTC, a running coordination cell. And the top of it read 45 hours and 56 minutes. For 45 hours and 56 minutes, we held that call open for coordination. From the moment our pilots went down, our mission was unblinking. The call never dropped, the meeting never stopped, the planning never ceased. The president demanded rapid, decisive action. He backed our military with the full weight of his resolve, refusing to let enemy propaganda or tactical setbacks deter us. His leadership ensured that every lethal and non-lethal resource was brought to bear, that our forces had the authorities and the support they needed to succeed. When the president says he has the backs of our warfighters, he means it. And it means a great deal, and it's a big difference on the battlefield. President Trump understands that peace through strength is not a slogan. It is a doctrine that saves American lives. His unwavering commitment to rebuilding our military and restoring the warrior spirit has paid dividends in missions just like this one. Under his command, America projects power with confidence and brings our people home with victory. And that continues today, by the way. Per the president's direction, today will be the largest volume of strikes since day one of this operation. Tomorrow, even more than today. And then Iran has a choice. Choose wisely, because this president does not play around. You can ask Soleimani, You can ask Maduro. You can ask Khomeini. To those heroes who planned and executed these rescues, your nation stands in awe. I stand in awe. The chairman stands in awe. We all stand in awe of your professionalism and bravery. We serve for you. You embody the very best of America. To the rescued airmen and their families, welcome home. Your courage and endurance, the quiet declaration of faith amid the storm, inspires us all. God is good every day. And to our adversaries watching from Tehran, let this be a clear message. The United States military will go anywhere, at any time, to protect our own and complete the mission. We execute with precision. We control the skies. You see, we flew for 7 hours in daylight over Iran to get the first pilot. And we flew 7 hours in the middle of the night to get the second. And Iran did nothing about it. We fight with honor, and under President Trump's leadership, we win. So God bless our troops, God bless President Trump, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. A note before I start, I know many of you want specific details in these briefings. We will share what we can, but I will retain what I must in the event that we have to go do this again sometime. And I cannot stress the importance, as the President said, around operational security. The Secretary and I will do a more detailed briefing tomorrow morning, and we look forward to sharing the details that we can. On Thursday, 2 April at 10:10 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:40 in the morning, local Iran time, the Joint Personnel Recovery Center, which handles the Central Command area of responsibility, declared an isolated personnel recovery event for a U.S. Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle, call sign Dude 44, which was down in hostile Iranian territory. The pilot and weapons system officer had both safely ejected and were isolated behind enemy lines. Following confirmation of active rescue beacons and on the direction of the Secretary and by order of the President, a rescue operation was launched with the stated purpose of bringing both Americans home safely. As the Secretary said, several hours later on the morning after positively locating the front seater, call sign Dude 44 Alpha, and aware of an aggressive ongoing search by the enemy, a U.S. Central Command plan was approved by the Secretary and the President. Shortly thereafter, a U.S. Air Force Combat Search and Rescue Task Force, comprised of A-10 Warthogs in their Sandy role, and I'll describe what that is in a minute, HC-130 Combat King IIs, HH-60 Jolly Green II helicopters, and Air Force Special Warfare Airmen, a package comprised of combat rescue officers and pararescueman operators, audaciously penetrated enemy territory in broad daylight to find, fix, and recover Dude 44 Alpha from behind enemy lines.
We are going to take a break as you've been watching a previously recorded briefing from the White House that happened last night, the latest on the conflict war in Iran. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Time right now is 10:45 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Happening right now, live is an announcement here where Charlotte's launching a school of construction. Our crew is live on scene. Let's go ahead and listen into this announcement on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
The chemical agent in the United States from our stockpiles from World War I to meet treaty obligations. So now I'm, really complicated world stage kind of work. That was my first job. And then from there I moved on to participate and lead and oversee engineering and construction projects covering a lot of things Chancellor said, but environmental cleanup and LNG liquefaction plants and export terminals and nuclear power plants, semiconductor manufacturing facilities, metro systems and airports, copper mines in the Andes. Just these are the types of things that I personally was involved in some cases leading the jobs. And I've had the honor of being the president and CEO of Bechtel for 6 years now, and I learned a lot over those years. And sometimes you learn things in real time, and other times you learn 10 years later you realize you learned something 10 years ago. But I'm always trying to soak in the things that I've seen, and I really have a good sense of what it takes to deliver large projects anywhere in the world today. I learned things like energy security and energy transition and the AI boom that's going on, and all these things that you hear about, the ambitions of the world, they all sit on infrastructure that includes pipe, steel, concrete, wires, cable, equipment that have to be designed and built from materials from all over the world. All these ambitions that we have sit on construction, and that is often overlooked. A lot of people think AI just happens. AI happens because there's power plants powering data centers that are filled with chips that were manufactured. They all needed commodities that were mined from South America, North America, Asia. It's just a huge value chain of construction that makes the world happen. So the other thing I learned is that I learned what thousands of people can do together when they have the right training and the right skills and the right tools, and they're well organized, and their competencies, and when you really put it together, it's amazing the multiplication effect that happens on human talent. And I also learned a lot about what industry needs. And the big need that we have right now, and there's a bunch, but the big need we have that pertains to UNC Charlotte is that we need more engineers who better understand the life cycle and ecosystem of a construction project. All the engineering disciplines, the supply chain, the resource constraints, construction process itself, labor strategies, how technology transforms construction. It always has, and it always will, and it is now. And frankly, there's a really big gap between what industry needs and how universities prepare talent. And that's what really got me interested in this. There are a few schools that are giving it a shot. UNC Charlotte is one of them, but there's a really big gap. And that's what brings me full circle to today. There is just a huge opportunity for UNC Charlotte to step in and do this better than any other university, not just in Charlotte or in the state, but in the country. It's really wide open. And the why, you heard some of those things, but why do I think that's the case here? It's not just because I went to school here. It starts with the attributes of Charlotte and the university. As Sharon mentioned, we're located in one of the fastest growing regions in the country. That's important because people are thinking growth. They're growth oriented in their thinking and in their culture. There's really strong alignment between this university and real world needs and industry. The personality here, and I'm speaking for myself, but I've seen it for the 40 years since I was here. People here are down to earth, they're hands-on, they're hardworking. There's a little bit of a something to prove mentality, and sort of relishing turning theory into practice. I think universities often stop short of the importance of converting to practice, or as we were talking about earlier, great ideas are useless without implementation, and that's a truism. So the vision The way I would describe it is to build a comprehensive construction program here that takes advantage of those attributes, so that when a UNC Charlotte construction graduate reports for duty at their new job, they're much more prepared than any other college hire in the room. And I think that word will start to spread. That's the vision, and I really believe it's wide open. And we do that, and Dr. Song described this, and Dean Kenton described this, by tailoring a cross-discipline engineering program and curriculum to the construction world, with field labs, connections with vocational trade schools, internships with top builders, just the connection of, I don't know if the engineers here will actually be working with their hands, but they sure need to understand it and understand what labor is doing with their hands. That's the key, is to understand that. And often engineers come in without that appreciation into the industry, without that appreciation and understanding, and then there's a gap between the engineers and the workforce that's actually doing the work. And so we have a huge opportunity to close that gap. And there's also pathways for the trades to come into the professional side, as we would call it in engineering. So it's a fantastic vision, I think. I'm super excited about it. I want to close with 3 points. The first one is, if you listen to my remarks, from my own personal interest to go follow a logo that looked global to me to running Bechtel, there's a global theme that runs through it all. And so I would just like to encourage everybody in your thinking, this is not just a local and regional opportunity. It certainly is one, but it's not just a local and regional opportunity. This is a national and global opportunity. And I think there's an opportunity for UNC Charlotte to have an impact on a much bigger stage. There is so much demand and so much opportunity to do this right. The second point is a really short one, and that is we have a lot of work to do, but it's going to be worth it. And my final point is that I really look forward to continuing my involvement with resources, but also with a bit of sweat equity and ideas, and emailing Dr. Song with ideas. Can drive him crazy pretty soon. But I really look forward to personally being involved for many, many years. So thank you very much, and thanks again for coming out. I really think this is going to be huge. Maybe we'll all look back on this day and not think of it as just any other rollout. This is going to be really big. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Craig, thank you, and Darla, for your generosity. Thank you for your inspiring comments. I'd now like to invite Ben Demoston to join us on the stage for the presentation of a gift. Ben is set to graduate this May with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and a concentration in motorsports. He serves as the team captain for the 49er Racing Student Organization, while also being an Albert Engineering and Leadership Scholar. Ben. We're going to look right there. Let's put you in the middle. I am going to wrap this up now and say thanks to everyone for being a part of this special day. Thanks especially to Craig and Darla Albert for your generosity, your vision, and your loyal support of this great university. I appreciate everybody being here. Please enjoy and mingle for a bit, but thank you, and go Niners.
All right, I want to update you with some breaking news out of Mooresville, where a tanker explosion happened at a beverage company. This is earlier video that our crew recorded earlier this morning. This is what we know right now. One person was killed, another hurt in a tanker explosion at Carolina Beverage Group in Mooresville earlier this morning. Crews responding to the scene around 7:16 this morning, and that's when they arrived. Firefighters arrived to find the tanker truck with obvious explosive damage. They did say that they were able to remove one person from the blast site and rush that person to Atrium Health Medical Center. The condition of that person remaining unknown, but one person pronounced dead on scene, according to emergency crews, and then hazmat crews also arrived on scene and identified and completely cleaned up the spill. So there were some roads shut down. They have since reopened at well. That is Mazeppa Road, closed both directions near Barley Park Lane, right where the beverage company group is located. Richard Devane is covering this story for us this morning here on WCNC Charlotte. He will have the latest live out of Mooresville coming up at 11:30. We're coming up on 11 o'clock. Charlotte Today is up next. Have a great morning.